This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Up first, we have the December box by Tokyo Treat. Tokyo Treat is a monthly pop snack subscription box where you receive up to 20 limited edition and seasonal snacks in each box. This month's box is inspired by Christmas in Japan. Packed with special edition Christmas flavors such as strawberry chocolate cake flavored Kit Kats, Christmas cake gummies, seasonal crunch mix, and much more. Up next, we have the December box by Sakurako. Sakurako is similar, but these boxes focus more on authentic Japanese flavors. These boxes come with 20 snacks per month, including seasonal teas and tableware. The theme for this month's box is the holiday season in Hokkaido. This box features milk and chocolate cookies, milk mochi, and Hokkaido butter cookies, all paired excellently with matcha matcha tea, which also features in this box. Matcha tea is packed with antioxidants and may promote brain function and weight loss. As you can see here, my assistant is enjoying his hot brewed mug, paired with Hokkaido Atsuki cake and butter cookies. Some of my most favorite snacks from these boxes had to be these cute little strawberry cake gummies, both tart and sweet and quite chewy, which I like, and these delicious Ghana chocolate caramels, which melt in your mouth like butter. I also loved these camembert cheese arare, a crunchy baked biscuit on the outside with a luscious cheesy filling, and this little bag of fried corn. If you'd like to get one of these Christmas boxes for yourself or a loved one this special season, then click the link in the description and use my code LucyLove for $5 off your first box. Thank you for listening, and let's get into the video. You seem to have caught me on my lunch break. Come in though. You're welcome. What can I do for you? Well, I'm afraid the only artist that we have in today is with a client. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Are you looking to book a tattoo? But you don't know what you want. Well, do you know which artist you were looking to book with? No. Well, in that case, I have a few sketches by each of our upcoming artists I could show you. Well, why don't you get yourself comfortable? Take a seat. You must be freezing. I think there's some blankets left over by the coat rack if you're cold. Don't mind me, I was just doodling in my brain. if I show you? They're called mergumplins. Quite rare critters. I have several that help me run my little shop. I'm hoping to apprentice here one day, so I've been sketching and drawing as much as I can. But enough about me. Why don't I tell you a little bit about what we do here? It might be a little different than other tattoo shops that you've been to. So, we don't have any full-time artists here. We operate more as a portal, in a way, for artists to stay temporarily. We normally book them for about a month at a time and interchange throughout the seasons and months of the year. We have 4 currently booked in with us for the next 4 months that I have some sketches I could show you, give you an idea of their color palettes and styles. Perfect. So, as you can see, we have this lovely little leather-bound sketchbook that we have our artists sketch a couple of designs. Makes it easier when we have customers come in like yourself that aren't quite sure what they'd like. It gives them a general sense of what we can offer them. Take a look. Inside we have our mascot, this lovely little sleeping feline, curled up in a ball with various floral tattoos on its fur, and it says, "The Tatted Cat Tattoo Shop." Let's see. So for the month of November, we have a lovely white witch by the name of Amethyst with us. There aren't many days left in the month, as I'm sure you're aware, but I believe she's quite flexible, so if you are interested in her work, I'm sure we could fit you in. So, for the first 2 pages, she has made sort of a flash sheet with some smaller designs in her style. She's very partial to purple, so you may notice a lot of purple tones throughout her artwork. Up here, for example, we have 3 sprigs of lavender and a small piece of amethyst in the corner, a Ouija board planchette in this lovely watercolor fade from pink to blue to purple, and it says, "Hello, goodbye, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, with this beautiful ice blue eye in the center. Coming up here, we have this lovely aged looking leather hat with foliage tucked into the ribbon around its base, and a small golden pentagram for a charm. It looks very like my old spell teacher's hat. Down here we have this turquoisey key with 4 holes at its head and a small vine entwining around its length. I'm not sure what the significance of this particular shape of key is, but Amethyst has assured me that it unlocks a door to another world. How mysterious. Down in this corner, we have this cute little cauldron billowing up its golden smoke. Or perhaps the potion itself. I believe it's a honey potion of some description, commonly used to heal wounds and infections. A cute little bee perched to the center, and the words "Blessed Be" written across its banner. Down here, we have a very charming looking pumpkin with a lovely crooked little stem and leaves and vines cascading around its head like hair. Going to this page, we have this feather, again in these lovely pastel colours. I believe it's meant to be a feather from a silent finch. Are you familiar with the urban legend? That doesn't surprise me, it's very local to Blossom Perch. Many here believe that a bird resides in these woods that creates no song, and thus it is very hard to spot. It is said to have feathers like the most delicious looking sweets in hues of marshmallow pink, lilac, and forget-me-not blue. They say if you see it, you will have very good fortune. Over here, we have a very feminine, pretty looking little coffin, somewhat entombed in these vines of briar. We have 6 lengths of crystal, 3 on either side, and the rather ironic message of rest in peace, considering its resident appears to be less than peaceful. Down here we have a very lovely little potion bottle with a piece of pink amethyst for a cork and golden beads wrapping around its neck and at its base with a little crescent moon charm. I'm not entirely sure what sort of potion it's meant to be, but I would say, judging by the colour and the billowing pink smoke, perhaps a love potion. Over here we have a very cute looking handmade broom fashioned from lavender and tied with purple cord around the base. I find the best brooms are usually fashioned from crooked branches, allowing this sort of area here where you can sit, and this bit sort of keeps you from falling backwards. It can be quite handy when you're flying through harsh weather. There's also a little skull charm here and 5 little purple bats. Let's see. On to the next pages. We have sort of a accumulation of roses and pansies and foxgloves, all arranged in a way so that the negative space creates a sort of pentagram. A little golden moon at the top with some detail work, and the same at the bottom to give some length to this piece. Up in this corner we have a lovely little book, ever so slightly open, with a golden ank on its cover, and again a vine of some description. We have here a bird skull with a pink rose and a golden rosary that dangles from its beak. Down at the bottom of the page, we have these two lovely red toadstools with a smattering of little white freckles upon their faces. And over here, a crystal ball swirling with pinks and blues as if the spirits are being conjured. Moving on to this page, we have two tarot cards. The first is the Lovers. The interpretation of this, I believe, can be quite literal. Perhaps romance is on the cards for you. Though I dare say, these lovers have seen better days. The frames of the cards are all this rich amber gold with a large yellow rose at the top of this one and some smaller rosebuds at the bottom. In this corner, you'll notice a hand plucking a single flower with a blue eye at its center. This can symbolize wisdom, though it may also symbolize protection from those that would do you harm. We have down here a little dripping candy skull whose cranium has become a sort of macabre flower vase with daisies and wildflowers sprouting forth from it. We also have this high priestess card who looks to be in a deep state of tranquility with a crown of golden moons upon her head. This time with pink and purple blossoms crowning her corners. Amethyst's last page is a slightly more detailed piece of this young witch with strawberry gold locks and curls, a pentagram earring dangling, some lovely long lashes, and a classic dark purple lip. It appears that leaves and a couple of toadstools have made her hat their home. She has a lovely piece of amethyst dangling from her neck, with more leaves and vines framing her beautifully, and a crescent lilac moon behind her. It looks very like Amethyst's sister that disappeared a few years ago, though I suppose it could be coincidental. There's a large piece of amethyst up here, and a small piece of topaz. Triple moon in this corner, and a serpent with spiraling tail. Down here we have a jewel moth said to bring great prosperity to those that stumble upon their cave. Another piece of amethyst, and a spider with a jewel body and webs. Is this art style something that you might be interested in? Yes, it is quite a feminine style. Though I dare say it would suit you beautifully, if that's not your normal style. Amethyst would probably describe herself as a watercolor storybook style artist, both through the look and appearance of her artwork, but also the technique that she uses to create them. She doesn't require any needles to do it. Are you comfortable with your mind being probed? You haven't experienced it. Well, it's painless, though some do find it uncomfortable. You'll think about it, of course. In the meantime, let's take a look at our next artist. We have Bramble for the month of December. Now she is part wood nymph and part Yuletide elf, so you can expect a lot of greenery and whimsy in her style. Again, we have sort of a flash sheet of small designs. In this corner, we have a little toadstool house with billowing golden smoke coming from the chimney. A little bit of moss at the base. Chicken of the woods mushrooms growing up the side, and smaller toadstools on this side. It looks as if some very small critter is curled up cozy and warm by their hearth. Over here we have 2 young ferns, a woodland plant often associated with youth and everlasting life. Down here we have a very well-dressed snail with a little green bow tie and a top hat to match, and a lovely scattering of moss upon his shell. I believe he may be going to a wedding or a tea party, the kind with the posh little sandwiches. Down here we have little Russula amatica mushrooms with fronds of fern cascading between them. Over here we have this lovely little fox with that fluffy tail curled around them to keep their paws nice and warm. This design is sort of encapsulated within this leaf shape, with a landscape in the back of pine green and gold trees. On this page we have this delicious looking jar of boysenberry jam. If you've never had it, it's sort of the love child between a blackberry and a raspberry. It's very sweet and sour and just perfectly balanced. It's very good on waffles or pancakes. We have this lovely little acorn up here too, still attached to a small twig. And of course, a silver spoon with which to eat our boysenberry jam, and entwined with it this small branch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boysenberries in pink and purple. Down here we have a stack of 3 books. One says recipes, one says spells, and the other I can't tell because there's a flower in the way. Nevertheless, atop these books sits this little teacup, though I like to pretend it's coffee. We have a shy little mouse. I believe it's a deer mouse looking at his big ears, with his little tail politely tucked around him, and this chestnut mushroom for an umbrella, as if he was perhaps caught unprepared in a little scattering of rain. We have here the perfect accompaniment for our coffee, a boysenberry jam and cream tart with buttery short crust pastry, a rich fruity filling, and an opulent dollop of chantilly cream. Truly delicious. Down here we have this lovely gentleman perched upon a wide red mushroom, as if he is about to hop. And 3 smaller mushrooms around him, and 2 large fronds of greenery. On these pages we have 2 larger pieces. The first is a full-blood wood nymph with cascading red locks and pointed ears, flush red cheeks, and starry sky of white freckles dancing across her face. You'll notice as well, she has these lovely little antlers sprouting from her head. Though Bramble doesn't have these, I suppose, because she's only half-breed. They are quite common. A golden moon upon her head, a golden full moon, and another crescent down at the chest. Smoke of a white hue billows up from her eyes, and holly and mistletoe frame her beautifully in a sort of Yuletide wreath. Little toadstools sprout from her hair, and leaves and pine cones and rose hips and snowbells decorate the corners. On this page we have a mother and daughter dryad. The mother with this deep pine green hair and brown little mushrooms sprouting from her head, and the daughter with this sort of mossy green hair. Dryads often darken their hair colour as they age, so it's an easy way to sort of determine how young their tree is as well. We have several larger mushrooms down here, and some white blossoms, dragonflies, and butterflies frolic amongst them as well. You can always tell the health of a forest ecosystem by the presence of dryads. It's a very good sign. For her last page, we have this large cup of hot chocolate with white and pink marshmallows floating in its rich liquid, a chocolate moth, common to see this time of year, and some branches of holly with these vibrant red berries. We also have two little toadstools and this vibrant red-chested robin perched elegantly on this boysenberry branch. Nothing makes me happier on a crisp winter morning than spotting a little robin. We have a little mushroom down in this corner as well, and a green crescent moon, who from its base sprouts this misty, snowy woodland. A little branch of mistletoe here, there, and there, and some more mushrooms. Bramble is very fond of the Yuletide season, so you can be sure your appointment will be very merry. She might even make you hot chocolate if you're lucky. Does this style appeal to you at all? You're mulling it over. Of course, there's no rush. Let's move on to L'Amour, our artist for January in the new year. So, this is quite a drastic change from our first two. Her style is entirely monochromatic. She hails from the far north, so you'll see a lot of her culture within her style. We have these three eyes, almost representative of the phases of the moon. One eye looks up, one eye looks central, and one eye looks down. I believe this embodies a sort of protection magic designed to watch out for your best interests when you cannot. Down here we have this beautiful raven skull with various patterns embedded into the bone. Runes, you may notice, are prevalent in these designs. And a very large black serpent that spirals and curls down with these orbs, each embodying an attribute that one may wish to attain. Up here we have this curved antler. This may look quite lovely along your clavicle, or just framing your body in a place you may like to add some contour. We have as well this axe with quite a lot of spiraling metal along its handle and various pattern work throughout the blade. I'm not entirely sure what this symbol means. I could certainly ask for you if you're curious. We have up here the silhouette of a raven in flight with these patterns of runes raining down. We have an aged, well-used sword with a broad blade inscribed with the battle cry of its carrier. Down here we have a formidable sea beast known in the cold waters as the Kraken. This thing has been known to sink the mightiest of ships, leaving any survivors to drown in the dark depths. We have here a bone tied with some herbs, which looks to be a spell of some sort, perhaps for victory in battle, and a raven's feather curling around the corner. Again, we have two larger pieces. The first is the image of the unseeing maiden of the Black Isles. The legend goes that a cruel man plucked her eyes from her head, for she did not love him, and cursed her to wander the lifeless isles of Black Rock and Dead Sea. It is here that she made her deals with the devils of the dark, and became the most formidable witch of the north for 7,000 years. She wears a crown of runes fashioned from the charred bones of her enemies. Black charcoal paints her fingers. Beads and skulls cascade around her arms, with a skull of a deer at the base, with charms and beads of its own. Black jewel silhouettes in these corners. Some more herbs. These two symbols of ravens, and another symbol I cannot quite place. Lillimore frightened me a little, so I forgot to ask. On this side, we have this woman with vines and white berries in her hair, and a raven perched upon her shoulder. Her hair curls and waves down the length of her back, with a long braid over one shoulder entwined with leaves. Several roses sit at the base of this piece, with some feathers, silhouette of 3 pine trees, and a candle whose flame billows up as if possessed. We have a longer pine tree in this corner, and a symbol, it would appear. But if you look at it like this, it reads Valhalla, which is a sort of heaven among the folk of the far north, one that can only be entered by dying in battle. The last page features this moon silhouette, 3 long pine trees, an old gnarled oak, smaller pines in the distance, another wretched, aged tree, and a murder of crows. A drawn bow and arrow sits in this corner, and a symbol for freedom. We have down here a skull goblet with a black, ominous looking shroud reaching to the heavens, a hand holding the skull of a horned creature, a wishbone, a tied scroll, a tooth, a dagger, and an inkwell with a feather quill in it. If you prefer tattoos without colour, Lillimore might be more your style. Just don't let her persuade you to get a face tattoo. She may try. Unless of course you want one. It would be a shame to cover up your lovely face. Last but not least, we have Ambrosia. Now, she is available for the month of February. I do have some concerns, however. I don't mean this offensively, but you smell very like a human. You are human. Well, perhaps I ought to warn you. Her kind, find your kind, quite delicious. If you catch my meaning. I do have a sort of salve I could offer you to mask your scent, if you are brave enough to attempt a tattoo by her anyway. Okay, well, I'll speak to you about it later. In the meantime, we have these lovely little flash pages. Up here, we have this crimson rose with dripping petals, a black broken heart, a tiny ghost. And within this coffin shape, you may notice the scene of a small ghost with a little red heart, tombstones all around, and silhouettes of black trees contrasting against the crimson sky. Down here we have a wooden blood-tipped stake with a banner that simply says slay. Over here we have a bat in full flight and a small cartoon skull. In this corner we have a crucifix, though turned upside down in rebellion, with this lovely diamond cut ruby at its center. Over here we have a sort of Victorian style pendant with a silhouette of a fine lady. In the center here we have an ironically placed head of garlic with a small purple garlic flower at its side, and a pair of luscious red lips drawing blood with its pointed fangs. On this page we have this fractured mirror with ornate detailed frame and handle, and an opulent amount of beading and jewels dangling from its length. A particularly venomous looking spider is perched up here next to this pin, with a small heart staked upon its point. We have here another bat, this time against a crescent blood moon, and a small potion bottle filled with red elixir of some description, though I dare say we both know exactly what it is. a large ruby for a cork. We have here a very old looking key with a skull upon its head and a large rose and rosebud decorating its side. I'd imagine this key opens some sort of dungeon or ritualistic chamber, one that you would not want to visit as a human. Down here we have the silhouette of a black rose and this deep red jewel framed in silver with bat wings on either side. We have also a very wide bloodshot eye which conveys a sort of desperation, perhaps thirst. In this corner we have a Gothic style window with red tinted glass. For our last two pages we have this lovely Nosferatu enveloped in a hood of grey and purple with eyes of gold and black and locks of crimson, complemented by the blood moon at her back. A purplish bat spreads its wings protectively and bares its fangs. We have a small sprig of orange leaves matching the ivy that grows up the side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bats take to flight by the moon, and a rosary lays upon the top of the page, as if used in vain against a foe beyond understanding. Over here we have a candelabra of black candles with flames burn red, and the silhouette of another black rose. This symbol here represents the immortal star, a constellation only seen on a blood moon every 500 years. On this page we have a large kitchen knife with a wooden handle and a face. Perhaps the last face you'll see. With long black hair and red eyes and pointed teeth. Smiling ever so politely. Cobwebs cascade from the base of the knife, and another cobweb up here as well. Over here we have a glass that you might pretend contains wine, with a hand grasping at it elegantly, with stained fingertips and long black claws. A small branch with the roses cut, and a potion of some description with a bleeding eye at its center and billowing pinkish red smoke. Would you like to book any of these artists for yourself? You'd like to book all of them? Well, that's not what I expected, but I will happily oblige. So I can't give you an exact date for bookings just yet, but if you're happy to give me your address, we could have an owl sent to you with available dates by next week. Perfect. Do you stay nearby? It's not too far, if you're happy to make the journey. I can guarantee it's worth it. Well, I'll take your address, and then we can discuss payment for deposits. We operate on a barter system. If you have anything worth trading, we accept just about anything of value. Herbs, jewels, even edible offerings. May I see? An old coin indeed. I don't think I've seen one like this in many moons. Well, I dare say this will cover your deposits and then some. An unusual address, but I'm sure our owls will find you. Perfect. Well, we'll get our scroll out to you as soon as we can. In the meantime, in case I don't see you before February, I'll offer you this little salve. It is quite efficient at masking the human scent. Should you feel uneasy coming into your appointment with Ambrosia, I think she should be fine. But you know how her kind can be. As long as you don't mention her being named after a salad or accept her offer of a neck tattoo, you should be fine. But you do look very like her type. give you this. Simply shake it, and the clear liquid will turn red, as you can see. Dot this behind your ears and on your wrists, and it should protect you for the whole day. So you can always top it up as you need to. I think that's everything. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed our little chat, and I hope that you love all the pieces that our artists create for you. If you're ever in town, feel free to pop into my